Hello, good morning, everyone. Good morning, I think it's noon. Good afternoon, everyone. So, this is a story about a woman named Naya. I'm gonna tell you a little bit of a story here. She makes movie, she writes story. She usually walks into the room with confidence, but not today. Today is different. Today, it's her first TED Talk. Her hands are trembling, my heart are racing, and she wonders, why did I say yes to this? If I were writing this moment as a film scene, I would frame it like this. White shot, one spotlight, a woman steps into the light, pretending that she's not terrified. And here's the irony. I've spent years telling actors, don't hide your fear, let us see it. But when it comes to my own life, I still try to look composed. Because somewhere along the way, many of us learn that being impressive feels safer than being honest. And as a filmmaker, I've learned something very important. Perfect characters are boring. We don't fall in love with perfection. We fall in love with cracks. When a character is flawless, always strong, always right, always composed, we admire them. But we don't feel close to them. Perfection creates distance. But when a character hesitates, when they say the wrong thing, when they fail publicly, we lean in. Because vulnerability creates intimacy, and intimacy creates empathy. There's even a psychological term for this. It's called the pratfall effect. So that means when someone competent makes small mistakes, they become more likable, not less. Because the mistakes makes them human. And I think we all know this instinctively. Like the friend who admits they're insecure, we trust them more. Or for example, the partner who says, I don't have it all figured out. We feel closer. The leader who says, I was wrong, we respect them more. But there's a contradiction. In stories, we celebrate flaws. In real life, we hide them. We curate, we polish, we filter, and we perform. And the exhausting part is not the flaw, it's the performance. Throughout my life, I felt like I always had to perform. Trying to be the perfect daughter, trying to be the perfect director, trying to be the perfect human being with no flaws. And eventually, that mindset started showing up in my movies too. Most of my early work, it wasn't honest, it was performative. There was a period in my career where all I cared about was making cool shots. Beautiful tracking shots, stylish transition, impressive visuals. I wanted people to watch my film and say, wow, that's a cool shot. How did she do this transition? But visuals were only part of it, because even in the script, I was trying to protect myself. My only focus was finding loopholes, closing every logic gap, fixing every inconsistency, making sure no one could question anything. I wanted the script to be airtight, because in my mind, if there are no loopholes, no one can attack it. If there are no flaws, no one can criticize it. If everything is perfect, I am safe. No flaws, no weak points. And that was my biggest mistake, because looking back, it wasn't really about clarity, it was about fear. In my first three films, I wanted people to love the characters. I wanted the audience to understand every decision. Every action had to make sense. Every motivation had to be justified. No one could live in the cinema thinking, why did she do that? I thought that was a good writing. But what I was really doing is actually I was protecting them. And maybe I was also trying to protect myself. I didn't want to dig too deep, because digging deep also meaning that I have to see things as they are. And sometimes, the truth isn't as flattering. So what I did was I made my character strong, reasonable, fully explained. But the result was they made sense. They do, but they didn't breathe. They were logical. They weren't alive. Because deep down, I was afraid that if I show too many flaws, people wouldn't like them. Or worse, people wouldn't like me. And then reality arrived. My first three films, it's flopped. Not quietly, publicly. There were nights when I questioned if I should just quit. I avoid reading reviews, not because I didn't care, but because I didn't want to see a proof of what I feared, that I wasn't good enough. And when something you pour your heart into fail publicly, you don't just question the film. You started questioning yourself. I didn't think the movie didn't work. I thought, maybe I don't work. I didn't just feel disappointed. I felt ashamed. And shame is quiet. It whispers, maybe you're not cut out for this. Maybe I'm not talented enough. Maybe I'm not strategic enough. Maybe I'm not good enough. So I tried harder. More commercial, more grand, more impressive. But when shame shows up, perfection gets louder. Try harder, be better, prove them wrong. But perfection doesn't heal shame, it feeds it. So the question becomes, why do we chase perfection so hard? Why is it very important to be perfect? Because perfection feels safe. If I'm perfect, you won't criticize me. If I'm perfect, you won't reject me. If I'm perfect, I won't fail publicly. And then perfection turns into a shield. But perfection is not connection. Perfection is control. And control is lonely. But stories are not courtroom. They are emotional experiences. And when you eliminate every imperfections out of fear, you eliminate the humanity with it. Cool visuals without essence are empty. An airtight script without vulnerability is sterile. It's like seeing someone incredibly beautiful. You admire them, you're impressed. But if there's no depth, you admire and then you move on. It doesn't stay with you and it doesn't change you. And that's when I realized something. Perfection might impress, but imperfection connects. Because connection happens in the places where we are exposed, where we are flawed, where we are being a human. And that's when another uncomfortable hit me. I wasn't afraid of failing. I was afraid of being seen failing. And that is vulnerability. Because at the end of the day, every story needs exposure. a weakness revealed, a flaw exposed, a limitation acknowledged. Without exposures, there is no movement. And without movement, there's no transformation. So I asked myself a different questions. What story would I tell if I wasn't trying to impress anyone? What do I actually want to say? And there it is. Something shifted. I stopped trying to be a perfect director, and I started trying to be the human one. And that's when Komang happened. Komang, I don't know if you guys watch this movie. If you don't, please watch on Netflix. Komang was based on a real person, which meant I couldn't reshape her into something more impressive. I couldn't add ambition just to make her look bigger. I had to honor who she truly was. Because spoiler alert, Komang was actually based on a real characters and from the song Raim Laude. So her truth was simple. She didn't want to conquer the world. She didn't have some grand life philosophy. She wanted to make her mother happy. That's it. That's what she wanted to do. And her dream was to see dolphins. That's it. At first, I struggled with that. I thought, is that enough? Is that deep enough? You know, someone who just wanted to see dolphin and just want to make her mother happy? Is that like layered enough? Is that cinematic enough? But then I realized something. Maybe I was the one who needed complexity, not her. Maybe I was projecting ambition onto her because I thought stories needed to look bigger to matter. But sometimes it is what it is, and it's enough. And that was a humbling realization, because honoring her truth, meaning that I also have to letting go of my ego. It means accepting that not every character needs to have dramatic transformation. Sometimes the most honest story is about someone who simply loves deeply. The same thing happened in my latest film, Tunggu Aku Sukses Nanti. So when I received the few drafts of the script, when I read it, the main character, Arga, which is being played by Ardit Erwanda, Arga looked like he had it all figured out. Work hard, stay focused, and you'll get what you want. It was clean, it was inspiring, it was also comforting, but it wasn't honest. Because sometimes we work hard and still don't get what we want, and that's the fact. Sometimes we do everything right and life still says no. And that doesn't mean we failed. It just means we're human. So I changed his arc. I let him struggle longer because, right, we all struggles, right? I let him doubt himself. I let him face the reality that effort doesn't always equal outcome. Because growth is not about achievement. It's about who you become when things don't go your way. And I know this topic very well because when it comes to failure, I'm an expert. I know it well enough to bring this story alive to Arga. I aced this. And when I allowed that honesty into the story, it felt heavier, more real, Less impressive, but more true. And that's when I understood something deeply. Flaws, they don't weaken character. They reveal their humanity. And humanity is what makes us stay. So I started choosing truth over aesthetic. Because at the end of the day, beauty fades, but truth lingers. Being enough is not a concept, for me at least. It's a practice. It looks like saying, I don't know. It looks like having the hard conversations with your partner. It looks like admitting that you're tired to your crew, or admitting that you're scared, or even admitting that maybe you want more. The moment you stop trying to be perfect, I think you become more magnetic. Because people don't connect to polish, they connect to truth. So let's go back to the beginning. The woman walking into the spotlight, right here, right now, standing here. I'm not fearless. I'm not perfectly composed. I'm not certain that every word landed exactly how I hoped. But I am here with you. And maybe that's what being enough actually looks like. Not the absence of fear, because to be honest, I was so scared that I would be standing here and talking to you guys. It's not about the fear, but it's about the decision to show up anyway. You're scared, but you show up anyway. It's not about the absence of flaws, but it's the courage to be seen with them. And I'm thinking, if I waited until I'm perfectly ready, completely ready to do this talk, to stand here with all of you guys, I think this woman would never happen. And there would be no stories. Every meaningful story always begins with someone stepping forward before they feel ready. Maybe the art of being enough is not about becoming flawless. It's about choosing to stand in the spotlight with your shaking hands, with your heart trembling, saying, this is me, not perfect, but present. Because flaw makes stories, and story make us. Thank you.